Please lie on your back and decide for yourself if it's more comfortable for you to lie with your legs long, stretched out, or with your legs bent. So if you're not sure which one is more comfortable, more appropriate at the moment, then try them both and end up with the position that you find you can stay in for a few moments without any part of you beginning to complain or any part of you expressing a desire that you have to get out of this position as quickly as possible. Okay. And notice now how your body is lying in contact with the floor, where areas are lying in clear contact and where there are areas where the contact is less clear, weaker, or where there is absolutely no contact. And in particular, I would like you to notice how your shoulder blades are lying on the floor. Pay attention first to your left shoulder blade. And if you are not quite sure what the shoulder blade is, then think about a bony triangle that is like a big bony flap hanging over your shoulder girdle down the back of your body, with the tip of the triangle being furthest down. How much of this triangle do you feel at the moment in contact with the floor? How far away from the spine do you feel this left shoulder blade, this left triangle? And it's okay if you have no idea. It's the provoking of questions that produces the answers. So stay with the questions. Notice how your left arm is coming out of the shoulder blade, lying down your left side. How is the left hand lying? And then draw your attention to the right shoulder blade. Maybe you have a clearer relationship, a clearer image to that, maybe not. How far from the spine is that shoulder blade, and how far from the other shoulder blade is the right shoulder blade? And how is your right arm lying? And please now lie on your left side. And use your left arm as a pillow, or if you want to use a pillow to support your head, and put your right arm on top of your body, so that your right hand is near your buttock or the top of the thigh. And notice the position of your shoulder, of your right shoulder, as you're lying on your side now. Have you still got the feeling for your shoulder blade? You still know where it is? And now very gently move your right shoulder a bit forwards and a bit backwards, as if to let it fall once it's out of the alignment of gravity, in front of you a bit and behind you a bit. And do this movement thoughtfully and carefully, because it's there to help you to gather some information about your own structure, about the way you move that structure, about an area of the body that maybe we don't know so much about. So first of all, notice the quality of the movement forward compared to the movement backwards. Is one easier for you? Does one feel more smooth? And if so, just let it be. Don't try and correct. What is. And there's always a reason for everything that is. But notice what is. Okay. And don't go too fast. Don't make it bigger than is comfortable. Can you feel the shoulder blade? How it moves away from the spine as the shoulder moves forward. How it moves towards the spine as the shoulder moves backwards. And in front of your chest, you may find, you suddenly realize there's movement there too, and what is moving is your collarbone or clavicle. And maybe some of the ribs are getting involved. Okay. And let the arm rest again. And then do it once more, but this time make the movement smaller and quicker. A light tuck, 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 to and fro. And be curious, does that make it harder for you to regain the quality? Does it become jerky? Does it feel like something is running away with you? Or do you still have control over it? And from the fast one, start making it slower again. Winding it down again. And notice how it is the slow movement that gives you the information, that allows you to sense what is going on. Fast movement is fun, and sometimes we need to move fast, but for gathering information, for familiarizing yourself with something, it's the slow movement that answers that question. Lovely. Okay, and let it be. And please now stand your right hand on the floor in front of your chest, near your chest, so your right elbow is towards the ceiling. Everything is about at shoulder height, more or less. Somewhere comfortable. Which way are you turning your fingers? So try out. Is it easier for you to have your fingers rotated towards yourself? Or is it easier to have your fingers rotated upwards or outwards, pointing away from you? Sometimes we forget that we have choices, and we take one option and we actually don't like it. We say, oh, we don't like this movement, we don't like this position. Therefore we avoid it altogether, but you have options. And that's what this work is about, to discover our options. And now in this position, move your shoulder forwards and backwards. Notice now how the effect this movement has on your arm is more obvious. Your right elbow gets pushed forwards and gets pulled backwards by the shoulder blade. So just let it be. The activity is not in the elbow, nor in the hand pushing the floor. The activity is entirely in the shoulder girdle area that allows the shoulder to move forwards and backwards. And the movement is there for you to begin to realize when a shoulder moves forwards and backwards, what does that do to the arm? What else is involved as a shoulder moves forwards and backwards? And you may begin to sense your ribs more and more moving, your rib cage, part of it rolling a bit. Don't do anything deliberately. Don't think you have to add bits and pieces. Just allow your nervous system to make use of what it needs for that shoulder to move forwards and backwards freely and lightly, whilst you're breathing, whilst you make sure that you're not going beyond what is totally comfortable. And again, feel the shoulder blade behind you coming towards the spine as the shoulder moves backwards, moving away from the spine as the shoulder moves forwards. And when you feel like you want to stop, then feel free to stop. And please roll over and lie on your back. Again, you have an option. As far as your legs are concerned, you can lie with your legs long, or you can allow your legs to bend, thus supporting your lower back a bit more. Have your arms alongside your body, like earlier on. So if you fold your arms on your belly, allow them to lie by your side on the floor, so that you can feel how your arms are lying after the movement you have been doing. And compare the two sides, the two shoulder blades, the two arms, the two halves of your trunk, your rib cage on the right and your rib cage on the left side. Maybe even your two buttocks. And the two legs. And if you find no difference, that doesn't mean that you have done something wrong or that this is not working for you. It simply means that you have to do a bit more. So please now lie on your right side. Again, make sure that your head is well supported by whatever means, your own arm or a pillow, or for some people it's okay to let the head just rest on the floor. So again, you have choice. Draw up your legs well, so your thighs, your upper legs are at 90-degree angle to your lower legs. And let your left arm rest on your own body. Again with the left hand near your left buttock or upper thigh. And notice for a moment the resting position of your left shoulder. Is it resting on the way forward a bit? Is it resting while it's falling behind you a bit? Or is its weight lying on top of your body? If you are not lying properly on your side, but you have a tendency to roll forwards a bit or backwards a bit, then the shoulder will have a different resting place and may not feel so well supported by your body. So make sure you're really lying on your side. And in this position now, allow your shoulder, your left shoulder, to start moving forwards and backwards. Or maybe you start it backwards and forwards. Remember, this is not an exercise. This is a chance to gather information about ourselves, certain parts of ourselves. And it is as if you looked at the area that you are moving with a magnifying glass, an internal magnifying glass. And you say, well, I never noticed that when a shoulder moves like this, that my ribs are involved. I've never paid attention to the sliding of the shoulder blades over my ribs behind me. In fact, I haven't paid much attention to my shoulder blade at all. In fact, I don't even know what the shoulder blade is meant to do. So what you move, you begin to feel, you begin to be aware of. And the subtitle of the Feldenkrais work is Awareness Through Movement. Not strength through movement, not happiness through movement, awareness through movement. Notice the rhythm you have chosen. No one's told you how fast to move or how slowly to move. Notice the range of movement. What determines the range of this movement? Do you move equal amount forwards as you move backwards? Try and balance it out. Maybe you find your head suddenly responding to movement a bit. Let it happen, but don't do it deliberately. And come to stop again with that shoulder somewhere comfortable. And now stand the hand in front of you on the floor like you did on the other side, with your elbow towards the ceiling, the hand, arm, elbow about shoulder height or a bit down, wherever it's comfortable. Be responsible for the choice of your hand on the floor. In which directions are your fingers pointing? And when you have found a position that is acceptable to you, start moving your shoulder blade again forwards and backwards, or your shoulder forwards and backwards, light and easy. And you haven't got the mirror to see what you're doing. It's your internal senses that you're going to sharpen, so that you begin to ask yourself, am I moving equal distance forward to moving backwards? Or am I favoring all the time what I know best, which is possibly the movement forwards? Maybe for some it's the movement backwards. So as far as you are concerned, make it a movement of precision, and if one direction is easier to do, make that smaller, so that you are giving yourself a sensory input of equal movement to the front as to the back. Make it light. Make sure you carry on breathing. And if you need to take breaks more often, then feel free to do so. You can always pick up again. Begin to make it a bit faster, a bit lighter. Feel how the shoulder blade is providing length to the arm. Feel how the shoulder blade is providing a pulling power to take the arm backwards. Okay, and make sure you're not getting tired. Let it all rest again. Take your arm wherever it wants to be for resting. Maybe it wants to be lying on the floor in front of you. And take your arm now, your left arm, and put it above your head on the floor. It doesn't have to be straight, so do not lock the elbow. If you can't touch the floor with your hand for whatever reason, then maybe you take a cushion and put it there, or a book, something, so that the arm is not hanging in midair and being uncomfortable. Notice if, as you put the arm above your head, you change the position of your body. Maybe that's necessary for you at the moment, but it doesn't have to be. So maybe you take 2-3 moments of exploring how many ways have you got of putting your arm above your head on the floor whilst lying on your side. Does it mean you have to take the head off the other arm? Does it mean you have to roll towards your back? Or can you just lie on your side and just take that arm and put it there? And in that position now, whatever your choice has been for the moment, start moving your shoulder forwards and backwards, light and easy. As far as this movement is concerned, does it feel different when your arm is in a different place? In other words, does the position of the arm affect the movement, the freedom, the clarity of the movement of the shoulder girdle? Maybe it does at the moment, but maybe you find over time, if you do this again and again, that you can find the same freedom no matter what position your arm is in. Light and easy, feel your ribs. Stay in touch with your shoulder blade behind you. Allow your head to respond as needed. Feel the front of you, your clavicle, your ribs at the front, maybe your breastbone, your sternum a tiny bit, acknowledging what is happening. And is the movement backwards in this position easier than before, or is the movement forward easier? Does the movement backwards feel like going downhill, the movement forwards like going uphill? Or is it a straight line you are still drawing? Again, you gather information in a non-judgmental way. Just, yeah, that's interesting. This feels now different. Okay, and before you get tired, leave it alone, roll on your back again. And take stock of what is at the moment. Notice again the contact of your body with the floor. Notice the contact of your shoulder blades. And has that changed in any way from the earlier contact? Are you aware in a different way of your shoulder blades, your shoulder girdle? And lie again on your left side, please. To the original side you come back to. Bend your legs well and take your right arm and put it above your head on the floor. Do you do that in the same way as you did it on the other side, or have you changed something? And does above your head on the floor mean you take the arm backwards straight away, or could you allow yourself to have the arm in a straight continuation from your hip, along your ribs, along your armpit, your elbow, to the floor? And lightly and easily produce the forward-backward movement for your right arm now. Notice how your arm rotates, how your arm is actually being moved and serviced by the more powerful movement in the more central part of the body, your shoulder girdle, your ribs. And vary the speed a bit, make it a bit faster, a bit slower, make it a bit bigger, a bit smaller. Take responsibility and take charge for the movement. Don't wait for someone to tell you what you're allowed to do. See what you can do, given the fact that you are at the moment moving your shoulder forwards and backwards. How many variations can you think of so that it doesn't get boring? So that you realize your options more. And are you allowing yourself to breathe? Is it harder work for you to make a small and quick movement than to make a slow and bigger movement? Do you work harder when the movement is smaller? And let it be. Allow the arm to rest in front of you for a moment. Put your arm on your body again, long, soft. Put your right arm on your body. And from there, let your arm as if by accident slide backwards behind you. Somewhere where it's comfortable. Whatever follows in that sliding, let it happen, let it follow. But don't do anything deliberate. Make sure your head is comfortable. And in that position, start moving your shoulder forwards and backwards. And now, of course, the forward movement does feel like an uphill movement. If you begin to feel your chest in the front and you begin to sense how your ribs can come closer together, then you may suddenly find, rather than having to work hard, you just let this part in front work. So the shoulder gets lifted up. It's not the shoulder having to lift itself. Maybe you find your arm turning a bit, rotating a bit. If your arm is totally in the air, then I would advise you to put the pillow behind you. If your head rolls, let it roll. If you find small movement in your pelvis, don't stop it. Make it comfortable. Make it possible. Because if you do it in a way that becomes impossible, you have virtually barred this position, this option for shoulder blade movement from your mind. And our interest is to include this option and not to exclude it. Very nice. So please, once more, let your arm come up to lying on your side. And in that original position, again, make a few light and easy movements forwards and backwards. And compare to when you did that first. Is there any difference? Is there any difference in the range of the movement? The ease or effortlessness of the movement? Is there any change in the pleasure? Is there some pleasure with it? Why should we move unless it gives us pleasure? Movement is only duty, then we do as little as possible. So how can we elicit pleasure? Can you make it pleasurable? Okay, very nice. And roll on your back again for a moment. Lying on your back is an indication to your nervous system that nothing has to work at the moment. Everything is supported, is held, is carried, is invited to rest. So the firing from the brain to the muscles can stop. Are you feeling restful all along your skeleton? And then before your final resting for this short lesson, roll once more onto your right side. Draw up your legs. Put your left arm on top of your body. And from there let your left arm slide backwards down towards the floor behind you. And if you find that your chest turns a bit, that's fine. Take your arm down behind you, somewhere comfortable. If for some reason that is impossible for you, then you don't do it, just think it. And again, find a way of activating your shoulder into a forward and backward movement. The lightest, easiest, smallest way. Whilst you can breathe, whilst you have enough leisure, enough relaxed and for a relaxed mind to scan what is happening. If you are filled with anxiety, you can't look around for what's happening. You're just busy with your anxiety. So if this position for some reason causes anxiety, then don't do it. Do it tentatively. And see gradually if it becomes more possible. And talking of pleasure, could there be any pleasure in this a bit? Make sure your head is not held rigid, and you may find that your nose turns a bit towards the ceiling as the shoulder goes backwards and a bit more to the front as the shoulder comes upwards. Makes a big difference if you allow the neck to echo what is happening in the shoulder. Feel your chest in front. And once more, take that arm up on top of your body. And in that position, do the original movement again, forwards and backwards. Say hello to your shoulder blade, your collarbone, your clavicle. Say hello to your ribs. Say hello to that upper quarter of your left rib cage. And notice its mobility, its flexibility, its intelligence. And leave it all together alone. Once more on your back, scan the contact of your body with the floor. And notice, does anything feel different from when you were lying down first half an hour ago? Maybe you find that lying with your legs long is more of an option. If not, don't worry. Maybe you find you are clearer about the position of your shoulder blades, where they are lying in relation to each other, in relation to the spine, in relation to your earlobes on the left and right side. What's the distance there, earlobe to shoulder? Notice how your arms are lying. And then in your own time, please find your way to standing. Once more in standing, scan your skeleton, especially your shoulder girdle area, and acknowledge if anything feels different from the usual feeling that you have in your body. And maybe once in a while you can say hello to your shoulder blades by moving your shoulders forwards and backwards, whichever place you're in, sitting at a desk, standing in a queue, or walking around.